ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या सम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः सुष्ठुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्ताक्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमि स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। प्रज्ञां सुप्रदानैः स्थिरचरनिकरैः व्याप्तिभिर्व्याप्य लोकान् भुक्त्वा भोगान् सविष्टान् पुनरदिदिषणोद्भासितान् कामजन्यान् पीत्वा सर्वान् विशेषान् सुहृदि मधुरभुङ् मायया भोजयन्नो मायासङ्ख्यां तुरीयं परममृतमजं ब्रह्म यत्तन्नतोऽस्मि। यो विश्वात्मा विदिजविषयान् प्रास्यभोगान् स्तविष्टान् पश्चाश्चान्यान् स्वमिति विभवान् ज्योतिषा स्वेन सूक्ष्मान् सर्वानेतान् पुनरभिशनैः स्वात्मनि स्थापयित्वा हित्वा सर्वान् विशेषान् विगतगुणगणैः पात्वसौ न तुरीयः। The 12 Mandukya Upanishad mantras are Omityetadaksharamidam sarvam tasyopavyakhyanam bhutam bhavishyatiti sarvam onkara eva यच्चान्यत् त्रिकालातीतं तदपि ओंकार एव सर्वं ह्येतत् ब्रह्म अयमात्मा ब्रह्म सोऽयमात्मा चतुष्पाद जागरितस्थानो बहिःप्रज्ञः सप्ताङ्ग एकोनविंशतिमुखः स्थूलभुक् वैश्वानर प्रथमपादः स्वप्नस्थानो अन्तःप्रज्ञः सप्ताङ्ग एकोनविंशतिमुखः विविक्तभुक् तैजसो द्वितीयपादः यत्र सुप्नो न कञ्चन कामं कामयते न कञ्चन स्वप्नं पश्यति तत् सुषुप्तं सुषुप्तस्थान एकीभूतः प्रज्ञानघन एवमानन्दमयो आनन्दभुक् तेजोमुखः प्राज्ञस्तृतीयपादः एष सर्वेश्वर एष सर्वज्ञ एष अन्तर्यामी एष योनिः सर्वस्य प्रभवप्ययो हि भूतानाम् नान्तप्रज्ञं न बहिःप्रज्ञं नो वेदप्रज्ञं न प्रज्ञानगणं न प्रज्ञं नाप्रज्ञं अदृश्यम् अव्यवहार्यम् अग्राह्यम् अलक्षणम् अचिन्त्यम् अव्यपदेश्यम् एकात्मप्रत्ययसारं प्रपञ्चोपशमं शान्तं शिवम् अद्वैतं चतुर्थं मन्यन्ते स आत्मा स विज्ञेयः सोऽयमात्मा अध्यक्षरमोङ्कार अधिमात्रं पादा मात्रा मात्राश्च पादा अकार उकार मकार इति जागरितस्थानो वैश्वानर अकारः प्रथमा मात्रा आप्ते आदिमत्वाद्वा आप्नोति ह वै सर्वान् कामान् आदिश्च भवति स एवं वेद स्वप्नस्थानो तैजस उकारो द्वितीया मात्रात् उत्कर्षात् उभयत्वाद्वा उत्कर्षति ह वै ज्ञानसन्ततिं समानश्च भवति न अस्य ब्रह्मवित् कुले भवति य एवं वेद सुषुप्तस्थान प्राज्ञो मकारस्तृतीया मात्रा मितेरपीतेर्वा मिनोति ह वा इदं सर्वम् अपीतिश्च भवति य एवं वेद अमात्रश्चतुर्थो अव्यवहार्य प्रपञ्चोपशमः शिवो अद्वैत एवमोङ्कार आत्मैव संविशति आत्मना आत्मानं य एवं वेद। Om Tat Sat. So Gaudapada, having completed the refutation of all philosophies, all darshanas which are talking about creation, he has very categorically, with logic and with the scriptural support, he has refuted and proved that the creation is never real. Therefore, there is no creation, ajata. Now, towards the concluding of the fourth chapter, he, in the last 25 Karikas, he is summing up the whole thing. And in the last class, we saw the 72nd Karika. Chittaspandidam evedam grahya grahava dvayam chittam nirvishayam satyam asangam tena kirtidam. The 72nd Karika. Grahya grahagavat, like the perceiver and the perceived, or the subject and the object. What means like the duality, idam dvayam. This is what is the duality. The perceiver and the perceived, or the subject object. This duality, chitta spandidam eva. It is the vibration, or it is the thought flows of the mind, which is called the chitta spandanam, and therefore we feel the duality. Chittam nirvishayam nityam asangam kirtidam. When the chittam nirvishayam, when there is no spandana happening in the chittam is the same antakarana, manobuddhi hankara chittam. So that vishayam, when the vishayam vina, when there is no object or the subject object or the matter to be perceived through the mind, when that happens, the chittam itself becomes nityan asangam. It becomes that pure, eternal and untouched, or an asanga in the non-contact asparsha in the form, and that is what is well known in the understanding. So we should understand that when the mind means mind, intellect, ego, and memory, all these things put together is antakaranam, and here Gaudapada uses the word chittam for it. And the same chittam, the third chapter here used mana. So basically, you want to make sure that we don't get stuck by the names mana and chittam, etc. And also for the word spandanam. And even you will find that the Turiya, Brahma words are getting replaced by Gaudapada subsequent Karikas. So he has indirectly brought in a method in which the hang up on the nomenclature of the instrument should also not be taken as a severe one. So chitta spandanam is, ideally speaking, when the mind is in a movement which is nothing but the thoughts. When the internal organ, the antakaranam, is in the movement, is what is called the thoughts and projections. When the thoughts come, we have that individuality, and the individuality and the world outside is a projection by the same mind. That I am there and the world outside is outside there, and there is then the subject object perception. So idam dvaitam, this duality is due to the mind projecting through thoughts. When the mind stops projecting the thoughts, when asangam and advayam, it becomes an nityam. Eternally, it is, that is its pure nature. It is just like that, when we say sickness is the state of not being healthy. Our natural state is healthy. When something gets infected, we call it as sickness. Same way, when the mind is in the activity of projecting the individuality and the world, the real nature of the chittam is not perceivable, and we perceive only the projections and the world. But when it is not being done, the chittam becomes the pure awareness there, because there is nothing other than that, the pure awareness at any point of time, because creation has never happened. For even the chittam kalpayate purvam is the kalpana, is a imagination by the chittam itself that it was created first. So like that, the individuality was created first is also an imagination by the individual. The individuality has never been created. It is an appearance, and that is due to the chitta spandana. यो अस्ति कल्पित संवृत्या परमार्थेन नास्ति असौ परतंत्रापि संवृत्या न अस्ति परमार्थता. यह कल्पित संवृत्या अस्ति असौ. Now one, which material or which matter, when we imagine the duality transactions, we feel that the transaction is, or the world of the transactional utility, experience, transaction and utility, these are the fundamentals with which we value that the world is real, because it is experience. There is a transactional faculty available because there is duality, and there is what you call utility by the transaction. So what you call as ETU, or the experience, transaction and utility, is based on which we validate that the world is real. Paramarthena na astiyaha. In reality, that is not there at all. Yaha paratantra samvritya syat sa paramarthata anasti. That which is not real, but because there is a transactional activity and a utility, but when it is inquired, the reality of that existence or that object itself becomes questionable, and it reduces to names and forms depending on something else for its own existence. So the appearance having a reality is not a paramartha or not a reality. Therefore the transaction and the utility of them also is assumed due to the unreal object taking on a reality form. Asangam tena kirtidam. That is why he is saying that this asangatvam is the reality which was said in the 72nd verse, is to be remembered, that that is the nature of the reality. Now here comes the real crux of that, where he says that ajaha kalpita samvritya paramarthena napi ajaha paratandrabhi nishpatya samvritya jayate stusa. Ajaha, the word ajan, or no, unborn. Kalpita samvritya, it is due to the same projection of the mind which thinks that there is a creation. When you think there is a creation, to negate it, the teacher has to use the word aja, because our experience and our reality is that the creation is reality. So from that point, to negate that, this reality, what you are thinking as creation, that I was born, I have growth, decay, death, etc. The world is also going through creation. All those creations which we are seeing, which of course we have refuted in the cause and effect when it is not there. So it was said that the reality is ajam. There is no real birth for any creation. Even that is kalpita samvritya, is an imagination for those who are in the imaginative world to come out of that. Paramarthena aja apina. In reality, even the word aja have no real meaning for it, because it can say that for the birth, it is not born only with reference to what is born. When there is nothing which is born, even where is no unborn has no meaning for it. Paratandrabhi nishpatya yaha aja iti uktasa. Paratandrabhi nishpatya. It is based on the terms used by the other philosophies talking about the creation. This word aja has any meaning for it, because to refute their stand, we are using the word aja. Samvritya jayate. It is because only for the transaction, that to transact with them we are using the word aja. In reality, paramarthena aja abhi nast. In reality, there is no need of using the word aja also. This is where we stopped in the last class. Now in the 75th one, which we are starting today, Abhudavinevesho asti dvayam tatra na vidyate dvayabhavam sabuddhaiva nirnimittena jayate. Abhudavinevesham is a very typical word which is used by Gaudapada. Abhinivesham means obsession or affliction, or best word is obsession. Abhudam. Now, Bhudam means what exists or created. The Abhuda Abhinivesham, that which is not really created but to be appearing to be created, is the Abhuda Abhinivesham. The obsession of reality of the unreal things is the real meaning of the word Abhuda Abhinivesham. Abhuda Abhinivesham asti tatra dvayam na vidyate dvayabhasam buddhva evam nirnimitta na jayate. In reality, asti, that Abhuda Abhinivesham asti, that is that the obsession on the unreal things as real is not there. Tatra dvayam na vidyate. In reality, there is no dvayam. There is no duality at all in that one. But we are projecting the duality. Dvaya abhavam buddhva. Dvaya abhavam buddhva. When you know that there is no reality for that abhinivesham, for the obsession, for the multiplicity of the world of experiences, dvaidam na vidyate. There is no duality at all. Nirnimitta. And because of that, there is no cause and effect relationship. Nirnimitta means effect, cause. Nirnimitta means without cause. And therefore, na jayate. He is not getting born, or nobody is getting born. It is an appearance, and on the appearance on which we have a reality feeling, and therefore when we take the reality on the appearances, we feel things are really happening. But when you know that the appearance has no real existence, independent existence, or it is only a projection of the mind, like the world of dream which has been created, even the waking world is nothing but the projection of the mind only. Chitta spandanameva. So that once it is understood, there is no birth, no death at all. Yada na labade hedur uttama adama madhyaman tada na jayate chittam hetva bhave phalam kuta. The 76th Karika. Yada uttama adama madhyaman. When the three, that is superior, inferior and the middle, as the hetun nalabade, when those things are not being seen or not being perceived, that is the time chittam na jayate. That is the time when the chittam is not in a spandana mode, or it is not projecting anything. That is when we have, this is a particular very analytical Karika. In our experiential world, we have not have a uniform experience. We always try to evaluate them, or this is best, this is better, this is good, this is ugly. All these uttama, adama, madhyama is the way in which we categorize. We never look at the objects or the experiences without attributions of the qualifications like, hate, and good, better, best, or worse, all those qualifications which we are putting is based on the chitta spandana, is the abhinivesha, or the obsession onto the material, coming out of ignorance of their reality is kind of thing. But we know that the object which was best today is no more needed, or is discarded even by the person who acquired it with all the love and effort and all those things. Is that gadget or that instrument or that in relationship, whatever it is, gets diminished in its utility and becomes of less value. If the reality of the value of the product or the relationship or the object was real, it should be always having the same value, whatever may be the span of time. For as a child also, the toy should be, dear, and when you become an old man or middle age also, the toy should have the equal value for it. But no, the toys were needed as a child and we discarded it. New toys were acquired or new gadgets were acquired, new relationships were acquired, and that also keep pushing one, it becomes lesser important, something else replaces that. So what this mean that these causes because of which we categorize Uttama, Madhyama, Adama, that is superior, middle and the inferior, is when it is not being perceived by the Chittam. It doesn't mean that the Chittam is not observing the world. The observing of the world without any qualifying conditions with the Chittam which otherwise was prospering, the Chittam na jayate. Because why? Hetu abhave phalam kutah. When the cause for this segregation of superior, middle and interior, all inferior by the mind is not being projected, the world will be seen as it is, and the reality of the world as the name and form will get replaced by the reality of the substratum with which they are living. And because the substratum is the common for all appearances of the world, the names and forms giving the multiplicity, which is depending upon the absolute reality or the fundamental reality, when that is absorbed, the hetu, when it is having absent, then the chittam will stop having the spandanam. That the chittam doesn't project anymore in the multiplicity. 77. Animittasya chittasya ya anulpatti samadvaya ajadasyaiva sarvasya chittadramshati satyadaha. Animittasya sarvasya. Nimittam means cause. Like the dharma, dharma, etc., utpatti, vinasha, all those are supposed to be the causes for that. Animittasya, when they are not there, sarvasya, I found for the whole, everything. Ajadasya eva, that when it is unborn, chittasya anulpatti. Anulpatti means is that state where the creation or the projection from the chitta is not doing it. Chittasya anulpatti means chittam is not in the chitta spandana mode, or when the mind is not in the projection mode. When that is not there, there is no animattasya sarvasya ajatasya satchittasya. All those are adjectives for the chittasya in the condition when it is not being projected anything. Not as a cause, not as a dharma, not as a karma, not any of the multiplicity which we are experiencing in the world. When that anulpatti, when that chitta spandanam, when that projection by the chittam doesn't take place, ya sa sama, that state of the chittam is called sama or asanga or advaya. That non-dual equanimous state of the chittam where there is no perturbance or nothing which is being perceived. Yata tat chittas drimsyahi. Because there is nothing chitta drishyam. When there is nothing to be drishyam, what the chittam will be perceiving or experiencing is its pure nature. This is exactly what Gaudapada said earlier, Amani Bhava. When the mind becomes no mind, here the chittam becomes the no chittam, without the spandanam. Both mean the same. In a non-projection mode, the antakarana, when it is not doing any projection, neither the waking nor the world of dream is being projected. That is the time when the mind is, when the Antakaranam is in the deep sleep mode. But deep sleep is also part of the ideation that I am an individual. But not knowing that I am an individual, but the waker says that the deep sleeper is an experience of his. But actually speaking, the deep sleep is not his experience, the waker's experience. It is also projection of the waker, the chittam or the mind of the waker, which is owning that state of, non-apprehension of the deep sleep. But when it is in the deep sleep, it is actually it in a state of paramarthata. But without the knowing that sati sambadhya na viduhu sati sambadhyamahe, we are one with the sat, and that is the state which is the reality. But what the waker does is, waker owns the dream and the deep sleep and says that I had a dream and I went to deep sleep. These are all the chitta spandanam, because of the individuality being created, and then his experiences of waking and dream is being included, and then he includes his deep sleep also. So when this doesn't happen, sa sama advaya, that is the time the equanimity or the tranquility of the chittam and non-dual state of existence is happening for the andakarana. Then in the 78th Karika, Buddhva nimittam satyam hedum pratak apnuvan vida shokam tada akama bhayam padam asnute. Satyam animityam buddhva. Satya means paramartham. Nimitta shunyam. Animittam means nimitta shunyam. When the causeless, pure reality, Buddha, having understood that, Prutak, separate from Hetum, Anapnuvan, one who doesn't accept that Hetu, separate from that Chittam which is there. When he knows that it is the Chittam which is the Hetu, when it is in a Spandana mode, therefore he has that projections and everything. When he says that it is not that, it is in the reality, in really it is not there, then Vida Shokam Tada Akamam Abhayam Padam Asnute. That Chittam itself, when it is not in the mode of acceptance of the Spandanam of the Chittam, Vida Shokam, without any sorrow, or sorrow means all the feelings. Tata, like that, what are the other things? Akamam, there is no desire, therefore no expectation, no failure, no happiness, no sorrow, nothing of that. And there is no duality at that time. Advayam, therefore abhayam. He is in a state of fearlessness, or he is in his own glory. That padam asnute. It is that time when the chittam itself becomes that padam, turiyam padam, that, the chittam itself becomes the reality. That is why that when we say that in the sushupti, even though we are reaching that padam without the chittam beings projecting everything, but we are not conscious about, or we are not aware of that thing. Even that Sakshi Bhava, when we are taking out between the waking dream and the deep sleep as a Sakshi Bhava, we are thinking that individual is going through the Sushupti Avastha. But actually speaking, the Sushupti Avastha is an absence of both waking and dream only. In the Sakshi Bhava, what happens is that we are looking at the three as an experience of the individual. But really speaking, even the Sakshi Bhava has no real Sakshi Bhavatvam when there is no projection by the Chittam. In that case, what happens? There is neither waking, nor dream, nor the sleep, therefore no sakshi also, no witnessing also. That state is when the state of fullness without any projections and pure awareness imbibes everything, engulfs everything. There is no everything at that time. There is only one thing which itself is everything. So that expanse of awareness without any limit is what one will achieve when the chitta spandanam is not there. This is what the 77th Karika is saying that. And then he repeats that abhudabhinivayashad hi sadrisyetat pravartate vastubhavam sabuddhaiva nisangam vinivartate. Abhudabhinivashad hi. It is due to that obsession of experiences, transaction and utility that chitta spandanam or the projection by the mind. And when that is happening, it is the same chitta which is sadrisya pravartare. In what is seen through the projections, in that the chittam dwells in that. Saha vastu bhavam buddhva evam nisangam nivartade. That chitta, that in andakarana, when vastu abhavam, when he realized that these are all nothing but projections, in reality there is no vastu or no matter other than myself. In my thing, it is just like when we are waking from our dream, we come to a state that all the world of dream objects and the dreamer myself is none other than myself. Same way, when this knowledge arises in the chitta that the world, like the individuality, therefore the world, and that relationship between the individuality and the world is nothing but the projection similar to what I was experiencing in dream. When buddhva evam, when he knows that, the chitta knows that it is not in reality, it was my chitta spandanam eva. It is the chitta spandanam is the cause for the projections. Nisangam nivartade. He gets released from the abhudhavinivesham, the obsession to engage itself in the multiplicity of the projections of the chitta. So when this withdrawal takes place is the time when he becomes a realized soul or a jnani. Nivirtasya pravrittasya nischala hi tada sthiti vishaya sahi buddhanam tasmasyajam advayam. Nivrittasya apravattasya chittasya. Nivrittasya means withdrawn from the duality. Apravrittasya, it is not engaged in any of the duality because it has withdrawn from itself. Chittasya, chittam, when it is not engaged in the duality and withdrawn from that, tada, that tada sthiti, that sthiti at which when the vidya is withdrawn from the duality and not engaged in it. Nischala hi saha, that is the state of nischalata or nisangata, asangata, asparshata, whatever term which we can all indicating the same, that it is the non-engagement in the appearances. Non-engagement appearances, but he withdraws from them also, knowing very well that they are unreal. Our engagement in the cause and effect, every attachment and every obsession, kama, krodha, mada, moha, lansarya, all those things were generated when we thought that projections were real. The world is real, the dream is real, the individuality is real. Everything was thought as real, which were nothing but the chitta spandanam. When we know that they are it is only a projection of the mind. In reality, there is nothing which has been created. Nothing has taken shape. There is no cause and effect. When that is being withdrawn, that is the time when the chitta becomes nischala, because it is not more perturbed by anything. The projections which were thought to be real also subsides into itself. Sahi buddhanam vishaya. For the jnanis, Buddha here means Paramarthadarshi or jnani, that nischala chittam eva vishayam. For them to revel and atma krida, atmarati, atmatruptascha manavaha, what is being told in the Gita, the reveling in one's own true nature, the engagement with one's own nature, the playing with one's own self on the reality or the truth of the reality, that is the subject for those jnanis who are, for them, the unreal world is no more a matter of attraction and engagement. They don't engage it with it anymore. For them, this nischala chittam is the object or the subject or whatever, both the subject and the object for him, and that is where he is saying, and that is ajam advayam samyam, because that there it is always ajam means here you should not be non-creation, means here it is that which is never undergoing any forms of transformation, either transformation, creation, or any of that sort of is not available in that state of chittam. Chittam is neither projecting, nor it is observed by the projections, nor there is any actions and follow-up and utilitary transaction, nothing of that sort. These jnanis, those who have realized the tranquil state of the mind or the tranquil state of the chittam, that itself becomes the subject for them to engage and revel in it, that, and they observe the non-dual, tranquil, advayam, ajam, samyam, chittam. That is the chittam in which those people are always engaged in self. They are not interested in the world, not interested in the projection, neither by the, Sugadukke sami kritva labha labho jaya jayo. All those statements of Sthita Prajna, what we study, we heard it in the Gita 2nd chapter, 54th verses to 72nd verse. All of them apply only to such a person who is Atma Trupta, Atma Reti, Atma Krida. That person is only reveling in his own real nature all the time. For him, yat pasyati, yat srunoti, yat vijanati, sarvam atmaiva. For him, he doesn't see duality. Even he may appear to be seeing the duality. In the duality, he sees only his own reflection. So, yatra na anyat pasyati, anyat srunoti, anyat vijanati, sabhuma. So that is the Brahma or the Turiya or the Chitta without a Spanda Chittam, or when the Chitta is not in a projection mode. He is in himself. So that is the state of and that is become the subject for these Buddha, means the Paramartha Darshika or Jnanis, to revel in themselves. And in the 81st Karika he says, Ajamanidram aswapnam prabhadam bhavadi swayam sakrut vivadohi vai esha dharmo dadu swabhavata. Ajamanidram aswapnam. Before, we have heard this word in the 3rd chapter also. Ajam, anidram, aswapnam. Ajam means unborn. Anidram means without sleep. Aswapnam is without the dream. Tat ajam, that one is that vishayam which was explained in the earlier Karika, is ajam, anidram, without any nidra. Here you should not take nidra as sleep. It is that state where We were not knowing our reality. The deep sleep is our reality, but we did not know it. Sadi sambadhya na viduhu sadi sambadhyamahe is what is told in Chandogya, no? We have become one with our reality, even though we are our reality only in all the three stages. Here we have an access to that even without projections. That is the anidra, without anything, but that where that we do not know that we have become one with the truth. Aswapnam. Swapnam means here you should take Swapnam and Jagrat, because Gaudapada doesn't differentiate between Jagrat and Swapna separately. So he wanted to bring that futility of that experiences of waking and dream. So he says Aswapnam. Swapnam Vina. That is Anyada Grahanam doesn't happen there. There is nothing which is seen outside yourself. Now, when you are in waking or in dream and you are aware that what is being experienced as the waker and as the dream is nothing but my own mental projections, then even though you may see the world of objects and transact with the world of objects and have experiences, you see in all of them the reality only. That is the state of Anyada Grahana Vina. Without the without duality experiencing the world. That state is what is called Aswapnam here. Swayam Prabhadam. By the nature of the Chitta, at that time is that Vishaya of the Chitta, of the Mahamuni when they are engaged in it, is Swayam Prabhadam. Prabhadam means Prakarshena Bhadam, not the morning. See, normally Prabhadam means we use the word for morning because it starts the light. The morning light is the one which is enlightens the day, no? So we call it as Prabhadam. But here you should take the meaning as Prakarshena Bhadam, means that which enlightens everything. Like for example, in the day, what happens? The sun enlightens everything which is on its path. Same way, Swayam Prabhadam. This Chittam, when it is in a Nishpanda, is able to see that self-effulgence of its nature, which is that Yasya Bhasa Sarvamidam Vibhadi. We have studied that. Yatna Tatra Suryo Bhadina Chandra Tarakam Nema Vidyuto Bhanti Kutoyam Agni. Tameva Bandam Anuvadi Sarvam Tasya Bhasa Sarvamidam Vibhadi. We heard that. Na Tatra Suryo Bhadina Chandra Tarakam. In that state of when the Chitta Spandanam is not taking place, Suryobhadi na Chandratarakam. Neither the sun can shine there nor the Chandratarakam, the moon and the stars. Nema Vidyuto Bandi Kutoyam Agni. Neither the lightning nor the fire of what we see it in our mundane world. Kutoyam Agni. Where is that? Even that shine of that fire is so infinitesimally small or insignificant that in that light, Tameva Bandham Anuvadi Sarvam, when that is in its self-effulgence, in its real nature, Tasya Bhasa Sarvamidam Vyavadi. Only in that self-effulgence, when that light of the Chitta is the one which is the reason where the entire thing of the waking, entire thing of the dream is being seen and enjoyed and projected, transacted, experienced, whatever the name, even though unreal, it is being projected by the light of that self-awareness. Yesha Dharmaha, that is the Dharma of the Chittam. When it is in the Aspandana mode, or when the Chittam becomes one with the Turiya, or when the Chitta is not in projection, the Chitta is not a separate entity, it is one with the reality or the Turiya. Yesha Dharmaha, that is the Dharma of that. Dadu Swabhavataha. Here Dadu Swabhava is given mentioned as Vastu Swabhava. Dadu means here the Vastu. It is the nature of that Chitta which is self-effulgent, that Swaprakashata or Andar Jyoti. These are the different words which are being used. Swaprakashada means self-effulgence. Antarjyoti means the inner light. That light is the reality, and that is the nature of that chittam. Is in the here the light should be taken as knowledge, awareness, consciousness, whatever word you think you can, relate to, correlate with your own experience. This we are talking about our own nature and our own experience. Sakrit vivadaha. Sakrit means always. Vivadaha means always in effulgence. There is never a time it was not in effulgence for us to become grasped by the ignorance, avidya. It has never happened. The projections when it happened, and abhuda binivesham, when the obsession with the duality took place, we forgot the effulgence of our own nature is the reason why we are able to see the world outside. The world of objects becomes separate from me, and I am separate. All this because I am being aware of myself. When I am not being aware of my individuality, which is a projection, the I, the individual, nor the world which is separate from me has no locus standi, no, nothing is there. So when this is being, when the chitta spandanam is not there, and the munis are reveling in that, they come to, they know that that is their own nature, their reality. Therefore, they become self-indulgent in their own nature, in their own reality. They play with themselves. They are always happy in being themselves. They don't need anything other than themselves. That Atma Tripti, or the self-satisfaction which one gets in being that state, is what is called Sakrit Vibhadi. That is always there, and that is always the one which is shining with its own glory. Sukhamaavriyate nityam dukkham vivriyate sada yasya kasya cha dharmasya grahanena bhagavan asau. Now here Gaudapada is using another word for Turiya and Brahma, Bhagavan. Yasya kasya cha dharmasya. Whichever may be the dharma or the property or the conditions, grahanena nityam sukham, by engaging in it, nityam sukham, you are always in a state of bliss, and that is avriyate, sukham avriyate, that happiness or bliss is engulfing your own nature. That is the dharma of the chitta. That is the nature of the Atma, nature of the Chitta, to engulf ours all the time with that happiness of that self-happiness. That is why it is called Satchit and Ananda. Sukham, Anandam is the same, the Avriyate. Sada Dukkham Vivriyate Aso Bhagavan. When it is being covered by Avriyate Dukkham, when it is being covered because of the abhuda binivesham, because the obsession of the world outside, your attention is not on your Sugha Swarupa, you are looking to the world of projection as it is real, the reality is outside, and when you are engaged in that, that is the time the reflected light has no potency similar to the original light. The reflected lights are the one which is being seen as the world outside, and that can never substitute with the original light or the original consciousness within which they are all shining. Therefore, dukkhena avriyate. Therefore, we are forced to go through the sorrows because none of them are permanent nature. The real light, Sakrit Vivadam, that nature of the Chittam or the Atma is to always shine. But that of the nature of the projections of the world is to the Chitta Spandanam is that they come and go. They are momentary in nature. Whatever may be the duration, they have a time limit. They are not infinite in nature. Therefore, the infiniteness is Absent is the one which is causing us the sorrow, because when they are being engaged we feel happy, when we do not engage we don't. So their coming and going is giving us happiness and sorrow. This type of duality doesn't exist in that pure state of chitta, without the chitta spandana. And when that is not there, that is the time asau, this chitta, this atma, Bhagavan, becomes endorsed with all qualities of Purnata. That is the Purnatvam which is there in the Chittam. That Bhagavan is the one which has got all the qualities in that. Sarvaguna Sampannaha. So when we use the word Bhagavan, it is not to show that it is a Deva outside or a Ishvara outside. It is to show the Atma itself is the Deva here, or the Eshasya Swabhavaha is the Swabhava of the Atma, Swabhava, and Atma is the one which is the Chaitanya, Atma is the Turiya, Atma is the Brahma. One who sees that Atma as Ishvara, whether he is doing an Ishvara Puja or Atma Puja, doesn't make, is not two different things. He is doing that Atma Krida, Atma Reti, Atma Trupta. That self is seen as all, in all, as everything. So when there is nothing other, na dvidiyam asti, when there is no duality, that is the time when the purity, the purnata, or the completeness of the individual, or the enquiry comes to a fructification. Now I stop here because from the next Karika onwards, he is taking up again the opposition, which are taking that, they are still not clear about their this this absolute state of which Gaudapada is talking about, that Purnatvam. So they talk about asti nasti nasti asti asti nasti nasti iti va punaha chalastiro bhaya bhayo vaivaranoti va balishaha. So this Karika onwards, I'll take it in the next Friday class, and hopefully we can complete it in the Friday. The Mandukya can be completed. Let us hope. If something is left, we have to carry it on to the Wednesday after that. I'll stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyawada.